Okay, so I just want to show three short experiments I did recently using ChatGPT's advanced data analysis. I guess it's a model. Basically, I got inspired by my brother who is teaching himself how to code using ChatGPT and actually getting some good results. So I looked at a few things based on a project I was doing where we needed to create some interactive activities to enhance a textbook we're working on. And this is for grade 4. It's coding and robotics is the subject. And then these are just some little interactives which take activities and concepts from the book and display them through a browser using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I'm going to just show you this first one, and then I'll explain a bit how I did it. So one of the things we cover is block-based coding. So you'll be familiar with Scratch and Blockly and applications like that. But basically the concept is you are putting together an algorithm or through a series of steps that the sprite, or the little character in Scratch, will then follow, and they move forward, move backwards, turn right, so on and so forth. And this is then just a very simple interactive game which I've put together, which shows the concept of block-based coding. So move forward 1, drop it there, you can see the little block moves forward 1, drop it there, moves forward, move left, you can see it moves left, move left, and backwards and right. You can get the concept. And it really is a super basic illustration of how block-based coding works. I mean, ideally, now that I think about it, we should have maybe made a way to sort of line up these sort of code blocks and then get it to run as such. So that is, I guess, more appropriate. But anyway, the point is, I do not know JavaScript. I know a bit of HTML and CSS, but I created this whole game using prompts. So I prompted ChatGPT. We went back and forth working out exactly what we needed. The colors, I said bright colors that a child would like. The sort of logic of the game, I wanted to explain how block-based coding worked. And then it produced 3 files, the HTML file, CSS, and the JavaScript. It didn't work well off the bat, but I went back and forth with it, very much an iterative process. And we ended up with this little, I guess, proof of concept, which I could then refine further. Like I mentioned, maybe it would make more sense to have some kind of way to line the movements up and then run them. But it really was just an experiment to see what I could do with it. So this was the one I did. The other one I did, which I found quite interesting, is teaching kids how to type. So you can see the keys are up on the screen. There's a word underneath it, and then I, as the learner, needs to type ALTHOUGH. And then the next word comes up, bubble, BUBBLE, movement. Zoo, I'm going to make a mistake in this one. I pressed an I instead of an O, just so I want to show you the analytics behind it. Airport, hiking, return, alarm, library, either, solve. Okay, so you can see I made a few mistakes when I was typing, and then it gave me a percentage result on how accurate I was. The sort of concept behind it is really just a way to teach young learners how to type on the keyboard. So very simple. Again, it could be refined substantially, but it is done with JavaScript, which, as I said, I'm not familiar with at all, and back and forth with ChatGPT, where I prompted it to develop this application. And what I then did, I sort of developed it with ChatGPT, ran it, and realized it would be much more useful if I could have the word list as a separate text file. So we then did that. So now the word list is a separate text file. I could replace it with words that are, for example, in another language, where you could then start to teach across, the curricular language skills as well as typing skills. And I could then also replace it with more appropriate, like a glossary from a textbook for coding and robotics. That would also be another way of doing it. Okay, the final thing is a really simple drag and drop exercise. So I think whoever has done any online learning would be familiar with these. This little character is a robot, and then these are then all the labels for the robot. So quite obviously it's not an image, it's just something we've done with HTML and CSS, but you can see it's a proper working click and drag activity, which I think is pretty cool. And then once I put the last one in, it tells me a little well done message. Has a reset button, starts everything back, and then a very simple button to change the language. So you can see switching between English and Afrikaans. But a lot of them are the same, which is pretty hilarious. But you get the idea. So all three of these little interactive activities quite obviously need a lot of refinement, but it really is just to show what can be done with prompts and chatting with GPT. Basically, I have scripted these three activities with limited coding knowledge, and then back and forth in a very iterative process, I have then refined them. So, after each one was complete, I actually said, it felt more like a collaboration than anything else. But I'm excited to see where this goes. It's really coding via chat, I guess, is where we're going to end up.